Always trust.
We ask the questions.
What is needed in the world?
Is that going to be?
Hello. Today on Talk to Al Jazeera, the elections in Nigeria. As millions of people were getting ready to cast their vote in elections later this week, the announcement came on Saturday. The vote here in Nigeria has been postponed for 6 weeks. The reasons behind the move now fodder for speculation. Officially, the government says it needs more time to ensure security in the country, particularly in areas dominated by Boko Haram. Members of the opposition, though, see it as an attempt by President Jonathan to buy time against his leading opponent, former General Muhammadu Buhari. The former general, who attended the Army War College in the United States, is 72 years old and has a long involvement in the country's military and political establishment. His political home is in the northeast, where he served as governor in the 70s. That's the area now dominated by Boko Haram. After staging a military coup against a democratically elected government, he ran Nigeria for almost 2 years, from 1984 to 1985. He subsequently ran for the top job again in the elections of 2003, 2007 and 2011. He lost them all. During his reign, there were allegations of heavy-handed rule, secret tribunals, curtailment of civil liberties, executions for crimes that were not capital offences. Many in Nigeria are now wavering. They're attracted by the promise of a military man on the one hand, and on the other, there's concern about the man's own record and his agenda. And now, suspense as the democratic process is delayed. Well, joining us now from his home in Abuja, the Nigerian capital, is Major General Muhammadu Buhari. Thank you very much indeed for talking to us here at Al Jazeera. Can I start by asking you what your reaction is to the announcement of a 6-week delay to the elections? They're now scheduled for the end of March.
Well, my reaction is that of extreme disappointment, because as the National Council of States, the chairman of INEC, Independent Nigerian Electoral Commission, gave a detailed brief of their activities from 2011, that's from the last general election to then. And they clearly said, or he said, that they are ready to hold the election.
Now, you've called this decision to delay the election provocative. What do you mean?
Well, because there is no need for it. If the same military cannot secure 14 local governments out of 774 in 6 years, how can we be sure they can secure those 14 local governments in 6 weeks?
But the Election Commission seems confident that this 6-week window will allow for the particularly vulnerable areas in the northeast to become calm. And also there is the international force made up of Nigeria plus some of its neighbours who are prepared to launch an offensive against Boko Haram operatives in order to calm the security situation in the northeast.
Well, I believe Nigerians are grateful to our neighbors that have eventually agreed to come and salvage our country for us, for good neighborliness, so that they too are not threatened by the instability from here, from Nigeria. But the bottom line, as far as informed Nigerians are concerned, is the massive corruption in government. Where is the vote for weapons, for the military, for the police, and the training money is going to?
Can we talk about this a little bit more later on? But can I just get you to stick to this new window, this 6-week window? What sort of effect is this going to have on your own election campaign? Can you afford it?
We have to afford it because appropriate constitutional authority was quoted that up to 30 days to the election, days can be adjusted. So that gives it whatever plausible credibility they need. That is the INEC. So we are going to appeal to our supporters to give INEC the chance and reach the maximum allowed by the Constitution, that 30 minutes or 30 days to the swearing in of the new government, central government, elections must be conducted. So there is no more room for maneuver as far as we are concerned.
You seem rather sceptical as to the reasons given by the Electoral Commission for the delay. What do you think the real purpose or the real cause of this delay? Why do you think the Election Commission has called for a 6-week postponement?
Since the constitutional provision is met, we cannot fight with it. But I hope the military and INEC and the ruling party will accept that this is the limit. We do not expect INEC to say they cannot conduct the election after 6 weeks. In any case, the document they briefed the council, the National Council of State, is that they are ready to conduct the election. Now, if they are forced by the military, for whatever reason, to consider additional 6 months before the election starts, well, that has been accommodated by the Constitution as explained, and we are going to abide by that. And we will ask our supporters to remain calm and be prepared to participate in the election on the 28th of March and 11th of April, respectively.
Can we talk now a little more about the security situation? With 132,000 active frontline personnel, why can't the Nigerian military take on and win this battle with Boko Haram?
Well, the government is not prepared to fight Boko Haram. I made a statement earlier on, which some of the Nigerian press published. The troops deployed in Ekiti State, where we believe we are rigged out, if we deployed in the northeast, they could have at least rescued our over 220 girls which were removed by the rebels or the so-called Boko Haram. They know where they are and whether they have the capacity to rescue them or not. They still can't give a cohesive reason why the Nigerian government was unable to rescue these children from the hand of the insurgents.
Are you suggesting that the state of insecurity and the vulnerability of the 3 northeastern states in particular, of course, from where many of your supporters come from, do you suggest then that this state of affairs actually suits the government and that the government is almost encouraging it?
I have no evidence, firm evidence, that the government is encouraging it. But the government has failed to do its principal duty of protecting life or property of all beings inside its territory in Nigeria. And what happened, as I said, in Ekiti and Oshun, the number of military, police, other law enforcement agencies deployed to rig elections in favor of the ruling party, if those were effectively used in the northeast, the end of the insurgency could have been met.
Now you have
and
vowed...
what I'm saying, the bottom line is that the government is not serious about curbing the insurgency in the northeast.
You have vowed to make security one of your first priorities should you come to office. How will you go about it?
Well, firstly is to understand why the military from Burma in 1945 to Zaire, Democratic Republic of the Congo in 1960, to Liberia, to Sierra Leone, to Darfur, Nigerian military earned the respect of the international community. But now here they are, they cannot secure 14 local governments in their own territory. People can hardly comprehend this slide, how we deteriorated, and that our neighbors, that everybody know, they too know that we can help them, are now the ones that are fighting these insurgents for us.
This is embarrassing. It's embarrassing, would you say?
Extremely embarrassing.
Can I ask you, as a military man, we know where the Chibok girls are. They're in the Sambisa forest, admittedly a very large place bordering Cameroon. If you were to become president, what would you do to get those girls back and to assure other girls and young women, particularly in the northeast of the country, that they can resume their studies in safety?
I didn't know what effort the government has done so far. Whatever effort it is, it wasn't good enough until the neighboring countries were constrained in their own interest to start coming into even Nigerian territory to fight Boko Haram to secure their own territories. What I expected much earlier on, this thing has been on for more than 5 years, was the Nigerian government to initiate a high security coordinated meetings and action with Cameroon, Niger, and Chad. Instead, literally, the rebels were allowed to operate how they like, where they like, by starving the military of weapons and leadership.
So how would you reverse this
international proportion?
If you were to get to Aso Rock?
Yes, well, we can reverse it, but if we get there, and God willing we shall, is to see first why has the Nigerian military's credibility has been so thoroughly undermined by this government. And then we have to quickly see how much they need, because there are enough of them that are committed to perform their duties to defend their country. And with the cooperation of the neighboring states, as they have started now, to flush Boko Haram out of Nigeria.
Can we talk a little now about corruption? Of course, that's another major plank of your manifesto. Nigeria is, of course, the largest African economy, and it has the largest amount of graft. In fact, the name Nigeria is almost synonymous with corruption. What's the first thing you intend to do, should you become president, to stop this?
What we could do, without rocking the boat further, is just to draw a line. Whatever cases are with the judiciary and law enforcement agencies, will allow them to proceed. And we move forward from 30th of May this year. But anybody in a position to be in charge of public funds must be held accountable immediately anything goes wrong. There's a system in place in terms of accountability in every ministry, in every parastatal. The important thing is just as the saying goes for a fish, if the head is rotten, the rest of the body will go rotten as well.
Would you be prepared then, General Buhari, to prosecute? Would you take the perpetrators to court?
Well, what I said, what is in court will allow the court to continue. Then we draw a line. But from that date on, anybody responsible for public funds will have to submit to the proper accountability procedures of the government, which is existing.
General Buhari, can we look at the time that you were in office? Because it must be pointed out that you did have office albeit briefly, about 18 months in the 1980s when you were a coup leader, a military leader of Nigeria. You yourself were removed by another coup, but that period of time has been called a brutal military dictatorship. You were accused of violating the freedoms and human rights of many Nigerians. What assurances do you give now that Nigeria, should you win, will not be returned to those dark days of what's been described as a jackboot regime?
I think to hold that view is to undermine the efforts we have made so far to stabilize this system, as I said, multi-party democratic system. If you said I was a military dictator then, I wouldn't mind, because I was a military leader and I was a head of state. And even then, those who wanted to be fair to the military ought to have looked into which part of the Constitution did we suspend in order to have the opportunity, to see that some semblance of discipline and accountability is brought into the Nigerian system.
People accused your leadership during that time of cracking down severely on civil rights, of using secret tribunals, and of executing people who had not committed capital offences.
Yes, we said we suspended part of the Constitution and we made laws before we sent people on trial. So we accepted responsibility for whatever opinion whoever expresses it. The question of executing people is about drugs. We said cocaine and associated drugs were not developed or produced in Nigeria. People who want to make money at the expense of health, lives, and efficiency of people go to the countries that produce these substances and make Nigeria a transit camp for drugs, destroy Nigerian communities and extending the destruction to even developed countries just to make money. And we were concerned as nationalists that if people want to make money, they should go out and work hard and sweat and make money, not to go and bring drugs, sell it and destroy our youth, and sell it again to other countries just to make money. And we made the law that whoever did that should be executed. Let him go and spend the money elsewhere, but not in Nigeria. The second accusation made that we trample on human rights is about the Nigerian press. We said we cannot stop the press from criticizing people or institutions, but please let them have investigative journalism. Let them try and verify facts before they accuse government officials and others of misdemeanor and spoil their names and reputations. And we never held any secret tribunal. The tribunal we conducted, 6 of them throughout the country, we published who are sitting on them, and we got intelligence communities, Navy, Army, Air Force, Police, National Security Organization, to form the investigative panel that, based on documentation, people were charged before those tribunals and tried. There was nothing secret about it.
Now, you've managed to attract the support of some fairly significant political figures in Nigeria. Wole Soyinka, of course, the widely internationally acclaimed writer, former President Obasanjo, former President Babangida. They've all come out very strongly against the presidency of Goodluck Jonathan and thereby support your campaign. But nobody has come out, it seems, with a ringing endorsement of Muhammadu Buhari as the right man, the perfect man to be the president of Nigeria.
if people don't like Buhari's face for what he did as a military head of state, let them join the ruling party or any of the mushroom parties and vote against me and persuade his constituency to vote against me. As simple as that. I keep on maintaining that Nigerians will be amazed how physically Nigeria can be secure if people are allowed to choose at whatever level those they want to represent them as members of legislature, as governors, and as president. We will be amazed.
Can I, with respect, put to you another criticism that is levelled against you, General Buhari, and that is that you are a very popular figure, a political figure in the north of the country, but that popularity doesn't extend beyond. You've been accused of being the leader of the north, but somebody who doesn't extend that appeal to the other parts of the country. And in fact, you've been accused of not really respecting the diversity of Nigeria. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I think the merger we have been able to consolidate of all progressive confidence, I think ought to disabuse the minds of those skeptics because this comprises of the main opposition parties, which came from across the whole country, and then which has succeeded now to be recognized here and abroad that is a real counterforce to the ruling party. So the question of I not submitting to the or not being accepted in some parts of the country has been disproved by how I win my party's nomination as presidential candidate. It was transparently conducted, and all candidates, delegates from all over the country chose me more than all the rest of those who competed against me by several thousand votes.
And I have to raise the issue of age, General Buhari. At the age of 72, you are by far the oldest candidate, and if you were to win this election, you'd be Nigeria's oldest head of state. How prepared are you to face the immense challenges of Africa's largest economy, Africa's most populous country, with a myriad of problems that we've only touched upon in our conversation today? How prepared are you to take on this massive challenge?
My personal experiences along the line, as you referred, I was a military head of state, and if I could rise from a second lieutenant to a general and did virtually all the command and staff appointments along the line and ended up as the head of state. I was a governor, which is a civilian appointment, now 6 states. I was in petroleum, in charge for 3¼ years. And then there's a massive initiative taken by Abacha government where an increase of petroleum products at the pump were increased, and part of the money was put in my charge, and we judiciously use it. And my countrymen remembered me for the proper utilization of those resources in education, infrastructure, roads, social services, health care, you name it, which are still there to be seen by a lot of Nigerians. And then, of course, for trying 3 times to be head of state, I think I have acquired enormous experience that will help me, if I win the election, to preside over the affairs of this country.
Major General Muhammadu Buhari, thank you very much indeed for talking to Al Jazeera.
Thank you very much.